about to get grimy.
Spectrum Vida. This is Guillermo Cita along with my co-hosts Alex Ramirez and Albert Cita.
Also introduce yourself. Or did you?
That's what I started off with.
It's the first person he starts off introducing himself.
I learned from the best. I am Alex Ramirez.
That's what I say.
And
The
then-
other show, the show before the show, or if we're watching it now, the show
It's
after the show. So whatever, kind of like. Anyways, it's a show. We have two shows basically. So, Spectrum Vida,
Who wants to
sports,
start it off?
entertainment, lifestyle, whatever you guys talk
I'll
about.
start off just because I was a little bit surprised that Alex hasn't brought this up, or we only talked about it when it first came out, and then he was pretty much quiet about it, which is You Better Call Saul. It wrapped up. What was your thoughts on the
Well,
whole
the
series?
reason why I've been quiet on it is because I haven't seen.
You gotta be kidding me!
I
You
haven't seen
Oh.
it
gotta
either.
be kidding me!
I'm not gonna lie, it comes on Mondays at 10:00 at night.
Yeah, it's a difficult day because especially when you have Time Warner, whatchamacallit, WWE Raw is going on, and then,
Well, in my case, because I'm asleep, so I gotta work
that's a
early
good point.
on Tuesdays, so like I can't.
So
11 o'clock is like
I'm
dangerous
I'm waiting
for
for it
me.
on Netflix so I can
get-
binge watch.
I guess we're gonna have to hold off on that You Better Call Saul review because
I heard it's amazing though.
I don't think I'm the best person to really give it a summary, which I did see the whole series.
Yeah.
I actually DVR'd it, and it's at the house, Guillermo, if you
Okay,
want to go and
I'll
check
go
it
over
out.
it. I
It's
wanna binge
DVR'd,
watch
Well,
it.
one thing about that was I kept learning like a lot of reviews about in the middle of the season, Better Call Saul, it's losing itself. What type of show is it? It doesn't know what kind of show it is, and blah 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 blah. And something needs to happen, and then like the finale happened. Oh my God, Better Call Saul is
Now
the
it
best
all
show
makes
ever. This show's a genius show. It knew what it was doing all along. So all these different headlines. This guy's just searching for content to talk about, and then when it actually let it play out, because Vince Gilligan is a genius and meticulous and does all the details. You think he's not get behind something that's not going to be good. Just let it all play out. Be patient. It's not like The Walking Dead where you count the number of zombies and then it's great. So, anyways, but yeah, be
The other
patient.
thing is, there's been a lot of leak footage of Deadpool. They have the
I
way
did.
he's gonna look with the mask, so how he's gonna look
It's gonna be
without
rated
the mask.
R.
Is it? I don't know
Yeah,
that.
It's gonna be rated R.
Oh wow. I didn't know
So, what's your thoughts? I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys all seen the pictures and stuff like that.
No,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts? Because Ryan Reynolds has come out in a lot of Marvel
Look,
movies,
No,
that.
no,
It's
no,
like
no,
his
no, no.
third or something.
and he
Here-
hates when people
Yeah.
play
Here's the thing.
multiple.
Here's the thing. My only beef is with the guy who plays Captain America because
Why?
he was the Human
Chris
Torch,
Evans?
and it's the same universe. I don't blame Reynolds for anything because he did Green Lantern, which is DC,
Yes,
and now he's Deadpool and Marvel. Two completely
he came out in
different-
Wolverine.
As Deadpool.
Yeah, but as Deadpool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was almost like a prequel to Deadpool,
kind of.
kind of,
Sort of. I don't know.
But so I'm perfectly fine with it, and I never really was into his humor. Right, he had like a weird humor, but then
Ryan Reynolds or Deadpool?
Oh, Ryan Reynolds. No, that's what I'm saying. Ryan Reynolds is the one who I'm talking
You
about.
like
But then,
two guys that grow in a pizza place.
come on, bro. I was like 10. I didn't know anything about comedy when I'm 10.
That's a great thing about having brothers co-hosts because all these secrets
Yeah.
just come out
Anyway,
out of
we
nowhere.
used to watch that
Anyways,
show.
if you actually read Deadpool, his humor's kind of weird too. It's kind of like,
Kind of
well,
dark, isn't it?
yeah. And so it kind of fit it when I saw that 1 minute clip. I thought it was good. I'm gonna check out. I'm actually pretty excited to tell you the truth.
I have an idea for Marvel, which I don't want to spill out just because I don't want Disney stealing my ideas. But so why not have like also you have
So
the
you're
Marvel,
spilling.
yeah, you have the Marvel production, right? Of the Captain America, Spider-Man. Why not have something called Marvel Knights? Have all the dark guys, Punisher, Ghost Rider, Daredevil, what they're having now.
The dark
the dark
characters.
keep it like those rated R movies. Keep it low budget, super violent, super sexy, and
You really think Disney's gonna be okay with that?
call it Marvel Knights. I mean, just don't
That's
put
why
it in
they
Disney.
made Touchstone and all the
Yeah.
other something just so they don't have to put their Disney.
Yeah,
name
you have
on it.
Marvel, which is for Disney, the Avengers, which is going to be Disneyland.
Just don't
saved.
put the Disney castle before it starts.
Exactly. Then have this darker version, which I think they're kind of they're kind of towards to it. Isn't like
sticking to the whole dark genre of Marvel. Daredevil premiered on Netflix.
Did you watch it?
All 13 episodes. I have not checked it out, but I hear it's
Steven
it's
shaking
good.
his head
You
no.
seen it, Steven?
that's what I heard too.
Yeah, that's all I hear is good stuff about it. All the episodes are up on Netflix, and
I like the superhero talk. I like it.
yeah, I just thought we'll get more into
I'll
the
binge
Marvel.
watch it.
Yeah.
I have an upcoming trip coming up, so I'll be Alone.
Might as well.
I have a couple more topics, but I would like. I want to hear
any more.
I want to hear you guys before we leave the Marvel universe.
Any more in the superhero genre universe?
No, I'm done with this.
I have something. Okay, so like obviously, was a couple weeks ago. Jared Leto cut his hair, revealed that he's bleaching it for the upcoming Suicide Squad.
And then they got mad at the director because he put up a picture without Jared Leto.
Yeah, and the people kept freaking out. Like, oh, here's a first look at Jared Leto, but it wasn't really him as a Joker. Yeah. So like this past week, the first look is Jared Leto as Joker when it really wasn't. It was his own like personal nod. He just had his hair green and took a picture of the Killing Joke.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the movie.
So it had nothing to do with the movie. It wasn't the first look at Jared Leto anything Joker. You can see maybe see a slight green in his hair. That's about it. It was a little homage.
This better be the best Joker performance.
It better because I'm getting a little tired of it already.
No. I love it, and I love it just because of this. Because it's making you mad. You know, I like that. I like it when they tease you and don't give you nothing.
Actually, you know what, too?
No, but if they tease me and
they give you
horrible,
enough to,
I'm gonna be even more pissed.
Back in,
I don't know if it's not like it's obviously not the director or Jared Leto's fault or DC's fault. It's like the media making a bunch of crap out of nothing. It's like, oh, here's the first look at Jared Leto's Joker. No, he just standing in the mirror.
Wait till you get the picture of him just playing with the deck of cards. All of a sudden, the whole world's gonna go crazy.
Yeah, so that's kind of like my little kind of thing.
That's a good Instagram picture for Jared Leto.
That one's free, Jared.
The next one you get charges. Anything else? That's I mean, for like superhero genre, I think that's better.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's superhero corner this edition of Spectrum Vida.
And the other topic I want to talk about, Coachella's going on this weekend. There's Coachella again next weekend.
Week after that too, I believe Coachella.
But all I've been
festival.
seeing is more stars than performers. And so what I wanted to talk about was like, so is this pretty much it for the Right and Wrong? Mainly, all I see is I see Kardashian. So I have not heard anything about the performance. I haven't heard about the artists. Ariana
Celeste.
Well, the great thing about Coachella, what it was in the beginning, it actually was like a festival, music festival for music. But after the whole, I think pretty much after what the Tupac hologram was when it kind of went downhill. They started splitting it into two weeks, and it's just more like whenever he says they're going to Coachella, okay, I'm like,
am I right over there, Steven?
Steven, okay. If somebody says they're going to Coachella, I don't think. Well, you're not really a music fan then, right? Because like, you're going to Coachella, I don't think you're a music fan. You're more about like you want to see people. If you're a dude to go to Coachella, you're not about the bands. You want to see girls half naked. Girls want to go to where. Exactly, which is all commercialized and like
it just seems like the hot spot right now. What's popular right now.
To me, that's something frustrating that I wanted to talk about. It's like all I see is a bunch of stars. But I see I see anything about performances or so and so had a good set.
That's funny. Whenever I talk to somebody about going to Coachella, they always talk about drinking, and they never anything about the band.
That's about the performance.
Oh, I got so drunk, man. I camped out, just drank all day. So, did you see any bands? Oh, I saw a ton of bands, man. I don't even know who I saw. I saw a ton of bands. So I was kind of like, Coachella's. I don't even take it serious. Festivals in general, I don't do. I'd rather see the artists do a whole set on their own.
I'm not a big fan of doing 2-3 songs or whatever. I like to get a whole set.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of festivals. I want to see the band headline their own. That way they have a whole like full 2-hour block to perform what they want to perform. So exactly. And you're there with fans who actually all paid to see a ticket to see the one band as opposed to people just creeping in from the festival. So.
To be honest, you don't see concerts like that anymore because it's harder to sell out. I mean, you only see the big time stars selling out concerts.
No, so they're out there.
No, but there's very few. So what they do is they create these music festivals. But you're right, it's becoming like the popular thing. I'm just there to get drunk. I'm there to check out some chicks. But I mean, the reason that's happening is because they're not as big a draw by themselves.
I can't even tell you who's headlining all 3 nights for Coachella. That used to be a big deal. Remember?
I think it's a rap artist too.
It's Drake, Jack White, and AC/DC was Saturday.
Come on.
But who would go right now? To be honest, with Drake, without Lil Wayne probably on his tour, he wouldn't sell out.
Honestly, for me, I would much rather see Jack White at like some like small, not like a venue in LA. Like
you know what is funny though? I did see a picture someone put up on Instagram. Someone had like a big old cardboard cutout of Drake and Degrassi in his wheelchair. And he was carrying it around.
That's awesome.
What was his name of Degrassi? I don't remember.
I forget his name of Degrassi.
He used to love Degrassi too.
You were a bigger Degrassi fan than me.
2 men, a girl, in a pizza place, and Degrassi.
He was a bigger Degrassi fan. And I will admit, Steven, don't say nothing either because you watched 2 guys and girls in a pizza place with me. So don't go over there and give me that look over there. You saw it with me.
That was a little Friday night get together at the Cedar House.
Yeah.
We were
like 12. Come on, we didn't know any better.
Ryan Reynolds, star in the making. Yeah, music festivals. I just don't do them.
Okay, so my topic, since we're talking about drinking, I saw this video.
Were we talking about drinking? Okay.
Well, because I'm drinking at the festival. I saw this video where a drunken girl stopped her car in the middle of the freeway on the 15 freeway in San Diego just to go off the street, and then runs back in there. And, there was pedestrians that helped to, hey, guys, there's a stopped car in the middle of the freeway. But what is up with people? I mean, like, do not drink and drive. I mean, I have kids. So just be careful out there. And
it's kind of like just like even like just stay. I still stay off the roads like at a certain time, right? Like Saturday night, 11 o'clock, I'm already off the roads, bro. Because even like last call, like 12, 1, 2, I'm off the freeways because
I'm sleeping by then.
There's always somebody out there who, and it's a shame that actually it's still happening after how many years. It's kind of like whenever I see somebody like smoking a cigarette, I'm all really. Like there's like facts out there, and we know what it does to your body, but yet you're still there. Smoking a cigarette, drinking and driving, it's a proven track record. It's not a good idea to do it, but yet it's still going on.
And it's proven fact that bars close at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Do not be out there at 2, 3
Especially
o'clock.
With like Uber and all these.
Yeah, but then it sucks for people that are out there and have to, get in a car accident because these guys aren't responsible.
Yeah, a lot of people work nights on the weekends and just.
And this is how I want to end this show.
Yeah, not a downer.
Yeah, because another good segue from drinking. Segue to what I want to talk about, and hopefully I can put up a video on SpectrumVida.com so you guys can check it out. My good friend Josh, he got a drinking game called Drunk Quest.
Okay.
It pretty much puts Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, everything, and kind of bundles into some kind of drinking game, which is freaking awesome. And we played it yesterday, and I mean, you get drunk pretty fast in this game, and at the same time, you're telling an epic tale in another kingdom, another realm, and at the same time, you have to strategize.
At the same time, there actually is no drinking involved. At the same time, we're at our computers at home, actually. So
no. This is a card game.
Okay.
So it's all being played, whatever. I'm gonna record it because I know it sounds crazy. I think
it sounds like an episode of Big Bang Theory.
You guys are looking at me like I'm mad, but when I show you the actual gameplay and the way it's played, it's pretty awesome.
Do you do the Howard impersonation?
I would not be doing the Howard
every celebrity.
That was one Halloween and one Halloween only.
We should find that picture and post it up on the
wall. Please don't do it. Albert, please.
Just so you guys know, Albert went as Howard from Big Bang Theory.
Was I not dead on though?
Yes.
I really got into character for that one.
Turtleneck and all.
Yep.
Yeah, but please do. That'd be interesting to see. Do you need to be like a regular Magic the Gathering player to even like?
No. You can pick it up. It's pretty simple rules, pretty easy. It's just I feel if you have that Magic Gathering experience, you'll do better at this game. You'll get less drunk. I'll tell you that much.
So the point is to get less drunk.
Well, no, actually, the only way to win is if you actually drink a lot because that's the only way to level up.
Okay.
So exactly. That's what I want you guys to think as I show you the video.
It doesn't sound like a fun game.
That sounds very dangerous.
It was a blast.
That sounds very. Speaking of a blast, this was a blast. Spectrum Vida. If you want to hear some MMA talk, please stick around, or if not, just click the exit button, whatever you want to do. SpectrumVida.com. Sports, entertainment, lifestyle, a little bit of everything. If you actually want to contribute, if you have a blog or editorials you want to contribute, or even a podcast you want to feature on the show, just drop us a comment line or email at spectrumvida@gmail.com. We're always looking for people to contribute. Just ever-growing
Time to get grimy.
Yep, Spectrum Vida.
That's it. You're entering the championship rounds. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. In the case of Miracle Crow Crop, his revenge was in a carbonite freeze alongside Han Solo. Friday night saw a trio of MMA cards to help you get turned up. We'll recap all of it and look ahead to the middleweight bout between Luke Rockhold and Joe Machida. This is 5 Round MMA. Hello there and welcome. My name is Alex Myers alongside me and my co-host Guillermo Cita, Albert Cita. This is 5 Round MMA. How are you guys week pending out?
It sounds like you had a turned up Friday. So
well, the whole weekend. You think about it.
Sounds like a EDM weekend.
No, we had 4 MMA cards within a 48-hour span of each other. We had 3 on Friday with World Series of Fighting, Bellator MMA, Resurrection Fight Alliance, RFA, and of course those are all 3 on Friday. And then Saturday had a UFC Fight Night in Poland. Crow Cop versus Gonzaga. So it was basically, if you wanted some MMA, you had it there for you. So let's start off with what the UFC card? Talk about
Sure.
that. Crow Cop's Revenge. Just thoughts on the outcome of the fight.
Well, it was difficult to watch to begin with. It was on the Fight Pass.
Oh, yeah.
So everything I saw was kind of highlights of it. But I was, in the heavyweight division, I'm just gonna say you always have a puncher's chance. So I mean, like even Crow Cop, that he's older, he's always gonna have a chance with a big right hand or elbow in this case. So it's just good to start getting more names out there in the heavyweight division because it's really thin.
I think when it comes to some of these fighters, I think when they get a good rest, it does the body good. And I think Krokop showed it. Because sometimes fighters, if they're inactive, they actually become worse. But I think when like these guys who have been in these huge battles and been fighting their whole career, a good rest is something good. Because I think Krokop actually looked pretty good, even though I don't think this was considered a high caliber heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do think that Krokop looked a lot better. I think the rest did a lot good for him, and I think he really, like you said in the beginning intro, I mean, he wanted to serve up some revenge because have you know, Gabriel Gonzalez would be a nobody if he didn't knock out Krokop.
Well, I want to touch on that base about people get a little too excited about Crow Cop. I mean, yeah, he did get his revenge against Gonzaga, but should we be making plans for him to fight other heavyweights down in the UFC? I mean, this is a guy who had 4 wins in the UFC total.
No matter what, he always has name.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's gonna elevate some of these young heavyweights, but that is a good
Young heavyweights. I mean, like,
and there's not many. That's my point. But you have at least a name now with the win over Gonzaga that you can build off of that. So
I mean, Albert, do you see should we even be talking about future UFC bouts for Crow Cop? Yeah, I mean, like, oh God, who's gonna fight? There's nobody to fight.
I mean, this one made a lot of sense because Gabriel Gonzaga was kind of in limbo in the heavyweight division, and Crow Cop, they didn't want Bellator to pick him up, so they just had.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what what it was.
Well, I just remember like a year ago that you guys said like, oh, all these Strike Force guys in the UFC. Now we're gonna see so many different matchups.
Over a year ago.
Yeah, over a year ago, and now it seems like we passed that point, and now it's rerun. So I mean, I don't know what Albert thinks on that because.
Okay, well, the kind of point I'm trying to get here is like these are 2 old heavyweights, and they're in the main event. And you say Crow Cop wins. He's 40 years old. This does nothing for the UFC's heavyweight division at all, other than just to fill an event card. So basically, earlier this week, you had 2 heavyweight bouts that were announced: Stefan Struve versus Big Nog in Brazil, kind of old versus new. Also, again, your boys, Todd Duffy got his fight against Frank Mir, set a UFC fight in July, old versus new again. So now we're finally starting to see 2 young guys who are, I think, not even the 30. I think Struve is 29?
See, these matchups, I still think they're still stretching out that very limited heavyweight division. And this is their way of really stretching out by having the old versus the new. This Gabriel Gonzaga match, whatever, to tell you the truth, I think it was more of a, we still have a heavyweight division, don't worry about it kind of thing. And I think these next 2 fights they're stretching it out because I really do think they could just got it over with and then Ted Duffy versus Stefan Struve, to tell the truth.
True.
No,
I mean, so what's the heavyweight division? Are they just relying on Ken Velasquez fighting in Mexico every time now? Is that the bread and butter?
Well, he hasn't fought in Mexico, so.
But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it come June time, and then what if he
Even
wins?
your
Then
boy,
what?
Brandon
Schaub.
he's going down
Light-
to 205.
light
So this is I think this is a disaster. I think for the heavyweight division.
It's just like you said. I think a good idea would be a tough heavyweights division.
Yeah.
Bring in new blood. Put an age limit on that.
Yeah.
And then see if you can bring up new stars.
I was excited to finally see, like, remember what Todd Duffy said that, hey, Frank Mir, give a guy a shot who's outside the division, almost a younger too. Frank Mir's pushing 35. Nogueira's almost 40.
Yeah.
Struve even though he's been in the UFC forever, I don't think he's even 30 yet. So it is this like new blood rising.
We just need the young guys to perform to that level.
The other thing I wanted to say too, if you listen to Chael Sonnen's podcast, when he had Karango on the show, he said that Karango never cut weight on his whole wrestling career. He always wrestled the weight he was in. And he wrestled in heavyweight because guess what? Even though he was like 220 or 207, which was the bare minimum, he still had to wrestle heavyweight because he was not going to cut weight.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these MMA fighters should now take that route as far as the heavyweight division. I mean, if you're coming in at like a short heavyweight, maybe try it out. Why not? This division I think is open for grabs. I know that when you get to the elite level, like the Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos, you're like, whoa, I don't know about these monsters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can make your name for yourself if you think about it.
Yeah, I think didn't like Forrest Griffin used to cut down from like 240, 250.
Yeah, and he
205.
If it was a different era, it would have been perfect for him just to not cut weight at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is what's his name? Anthony Rumble Johnson.
Yeah.
He made a name for himself going to heavyweight.
Yeah.
And then coming back down to light heavyweight.
Cut
So
to a fight.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he can win the light heavyweight.
Yeah.
And then
That'd be
comp-
awesome.
And then
Kinda
quickly compete for the
Dude,
heavyweight.
turn around. And one last point you said about how Gabriel Gonzaga was basically made famous because of Crow Cop. I always kind of like hard feelings toward Gonzaga because he was a man who took away Couture versus Crow Cop back in the day, right
Yeah.
after Pride. So I was like, Gabriel Gonzaga, man, this guy took everything away from us, but then he did give us one of the most famous head kicks ever. So I mean, again, weren't you kind of disappointed like you see Crow Cop be who he was in Pride in the UFC?
I was a little disappointed because you saw, all his devastating knockouts in Pride. So
Was
yeah,
it?
I mean,
Well-
but Albert's the big Gabriel Gonzaga fan, so he was always cheering for a UFC heavyweight title
I just
shot.
want to see some new blood. That's all I was cheering. I was cheering for that new
And
blood.
he loved the mouthpiece.
I was a sucker for that cool mouthpiece, but
And the two guys who kind of like fizzled out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Crow Cop never lived up to his expectations, and Gonzaga kind of we knew who he was after what he challenged Couture for the title, got beat up by Couture. So
My real
that was
question
about it.
to anybody out there is
Well, that-
who was excited for this fight? That's my real question to anyone
that's,
out there.
back to what I was saying earlier too. Ryan Couture is another perfect example. He wasn't the biggest heavyweight, and look, he had the heavyweight belt.
Yeah.
So I just think a lot of people need to just quit cutting weight if you make that heavyweight limit, because I think it's open for grabs right now as far as establishing yourself.
Yeah, because we talked about maybe even like cutting down the curve because like 265. I mean, is there really that guys out there? I think the UFC is looking to market guys who in the heavy division who are absolutely cut because they don't want the big guys who come at 250 with the kind of soft in the middle. They never push those guys at all.
But you see, Cain Velasquez weighs 240,
Yeah.
235 on a good weight cut. But I mean, that's compared to when he fought Brock Lesnar at 265 or 260, whatever he came in. I mean, like you're talking about almost a 30-pound difference, and he demolished Brock Lesnar. So I mean, it's possible out there to go in at 230 and still have a good camp with these guys cutting down to 205. So
yeah, so let's move on to Friday night. We'll go back in time to the trio of MMA cards, the RFA, which is basically taking very good pride in being the division before the division, right? The organization before the UFC. They had a card. World Series of Fighting had a card. That was a disaster leading up to it, and also Bellator MMA had a card. Let's start with World Series of Fighting. They lost their co-main event. They lost their co-main event on Tuesday because Melvin Gillard refused to do like any paperwork or head in his medicals at all. So Ray Self said, "You know what, you're out of here." So they had to bump up Nick Newell to the co-main event star, which I think he should have been anyways because he's like their star.
Yeah.
And also the day before the weigh-ins, they lost their main event, David Branch versus Ryan Marks, because Ryan Marks became dehydrated and had to be pulled out for medical reasons. So all these shuffles, they still were able to pull a card together. The star of the card was David Branch, who seems to be their postal board now behind Justin Gaethje. David Branch is their middleweight division champion now. He's kind of going after the light heavyweight title. Some people are kind of criticizing him for like maybe just kind of reaching too much, but you guys like the fact that he's going after it?
No, I think that's perfect. I mean, why not? If he wants to prove that he's the best at World Series of Fighting in those weight classes, boxers do it all the time. You see a champion in multiple different weight classes. Why can't UFC or MMA fighters do the same? So the other thing is, Nick Newell. I mean, that he is the star of World Series of Fighting, whether, he just fought for the belt not too long ago, and he's still putting, I think people are excited to see him. So why not, display that? So.
Well, in boxing, Guillermo, the weight classes are very close together.
And
that's
that's a good point, though. But go ahead.
But even though I do think they really do need to close up those big gaps, I mean, I never saw an issue with having too much belts. As far as in combat sports. In wrestling, there's a big issue to that. But in combat...
So you want a European Championship fan?
Yeah, well, I'm okay with the European
TV title? No?
I don't know about that. Yeah, the TV title and I
thought you liked the TV title.
I'm not lying. I like the TV
So you like
title.
all belts then?
So yeah, so I'm a belt type of guy. But yeah, I really do think I think Diego Sanchez said it best too. If they would have had just him, they would have made another special weight class. He thinks he would have
160,
sold that,
right?
Yeah, 160. He said he was to sell on that. But as far as a different way, I mean, right now World Series of Fighting, I think needs to really establish these stars. And what better way to say this? You have this reigning defending champion in two weight classes that can't be beat. I mean, that's epic to me. That's a good selling point. I mean, I see things in posters. Having them have one strap on one hand and then the other one the other.
To your point, Guillermo, like in boxing, you see guys with multiple belts all the time. But isn't in MMA, isn't that like the mecca to hold 2 different belts and 2 different weight classes? Because that's like the ultimate, right?
Yeah.
Dan Henderson held 2 belts
That's
at
what
one
I'm
time.
saying.
Randy
You
Couture.
build your
Randy
legacy
Couture.
off of that.
That's like the ultimate, right?
Yeah.
You become a champion, and the next goal, here's so many guys. Oh, I'm going to win this title, then I'm going to go back down and go back up. So that it is the ultimate mecca, I think, MMA is
And
to
if
win
you were to
multiple
make
belts.
the weight classes a little bit closer together, it wouldn't be so harsh on the actual fighters to do those weight cuts.
And
'Cause
that's my next
there's
point.
there's a big gap, and that kind of
You talked about Ronnie Marks missing or not being hydrated enough. I mean, that probably played into his weight cut. So I mean, why not? You know, some of these guys are forcing themselves to
and you
get
can
down
get
to that
and
level.
you can get the super fights even more done because they don't have to do that again. That drain cut because dude, I walk around at 180 and I cut down to 155. But if we had those in between ones, then they can maybe agree on those in between weight classes.
Yeah, I think that's now you said it last week is you know, what is the science between these guys cutting weight
Yeah.
and then the dangers behind that. So that's what I really want.
Yeah, I think Ronnie Marks made weight, but like he almost like passed out afterwards. Like, no, you're not any good. But congrats to David Branch is on the way to maybe becoming like I said, the mecca in MMA is to get 2 belts at one time. I mean, BJ Penn tried it, couldn't do it, and then it's just kind of hard. I guess that's the ultimate thing to do, I think. Let's move over to Bellator 136. Will Brooks defended his lightweight title against Dave Jansen. Will Brooks, the only man to defeat Michael Chandler 2 times in a row. Finally, now he got past the Michael Chandler, news like, yeah, I beat him twice, right? Let's go. So he's kind of starting his reign. Now, also on the card was a former, I guess, was he talking Tender Sadawad?
Yeah,
he made a
big run.
Yeah,
to capture a championship fight.
Yeah,
And he was in the finals. So.
yeah, he was also the only man to beat Will Brooks. So the kind of maybe
Will Brooks has 1 loss, and it's to Sabawad. Even though Will Brooks already got his revenge, but it went to decision. So I think there's still some kind of effort. I mean, in Bellator, I think each fighter isn't that far away from getting a title shot. I think we saw that with the light heavyweight and who what's his name faced after chemo. So I do think if Saeed Awad can get a couple more wins, if he says it, I'm pretty sure it can happen.
Yeah. Speaking of Bellator, you guys like this whole injunction thing on Rampage and keeping
Those
Rampage?
little girls.
Is it more about keeping Rampage, bringing them back to Bellator,
No,
or is it my
no.
kind of just like throwing
it's
a
like
jab
a
at
thorn.
UFC?
It's
It's
I think
just,
it's a jab towards Quentin Rampage and a jab towards the UFC.
Just kind of
It's
make
like,
him mad a little bit.
Yeah, it's
It has
like
nothing to
you
do
promised
with
us
trying to
this,
get him
this,
back.
and this
Yeah.
in your contract. You didn't comply, and now you want to leave us. I'm gonna get back at you. I think that's what it really comes down to.
Their quote was kind of funny, like, "Oh, we can't wait to have Rampage back at the Bellator family" or something like that. Like, does anybody really want Rampage?
Yeah.
That's why UFC's like, we're gonna look to protect our interests, but then we're not really worried about it because it's just Rampage anyways.
Yeah.
Well, it's true, but I don't know if I like or love it because I know at face value it seems wrong, but at the end of the day, is it really that wrong for them to still try to fight something that they believe shouldn't have happened in the first place?
Protecting their assets, right?
Yeah.
Guillermo?
So
Yeah.
I tell the truth, I really can't side with either or. It's just one of those things that it's like
I just don't think why they couldn't come to a table and say, you know what, I want to release from this contract, done deal. Why does Rampage? Well, I complied to my contract and go behind their back and go contact the UFC or UFC vice versa. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's the big deal. Just you do it in other sports where they come into the table. Hey, release me from my contract. I know I have a no trade.
buyout,
Yeah, I know I have a buyout or I don't have a buyout, but I want to terminate this contract. People do it all the time.
yeah. I think that would have been the better thing to do. Maybe that's what it was.
And we would
Maybe
have had Rampages
maybe
this
the
coming
situation
weekend.
wasn't handled in a professional manner, and that's why we have a bad taste in our mouth.
Yeah, even the USC said we kind of questioned Bellator's timing of this, like 2 weeks
It
before.
seems like whenever bad blood does happen, people don't want to face each other or do face-to-face things in martial arts or in combat sports.
It's ultimate, like, to get that aggression, right? If
Yeah.
there is a settled score, it would be in MMA, but we'll shall see how that. As of right now, Rampage is not allowed to fight for UFC. And last one, I want to talk about RFA 25, just because former, I guess we had him on our website for Fire Spotlight. Sam Super Tumor challenge for the RFA featherweight championship. So I was kind of excited about this because one of our guys, not our guys, but former guest guy, took the time out to answer some of our questions for us. Was in the main event, but he did come up short against Justin Lawrence, former UFC fighter, got I think TKO at the end of the first round. So unfortunately for that, but RFA kind of they're embraced too. Justin Lawrence is looking to get back in the UFC. He did defend his belt, so this is the first step to getting back to the UFC. So just that, you guys will talk about that at all? Any comments about that?
Well, no, I think for Super Sam, I think it's a step in the right direction. I know he's super young, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Was his first loss too,
Yeah,
but,
and the future is promising for him. So hopefully he can stick around and get another shot.
Yeah, this is
eventually.
RFA could becoming the guy. If you're a young guy, or if you could maybe fall back and you're kind of young, just go to the RFA and they'll send you right back up again. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like to wear the title is like the first shot for that. So Albert, anything else? No.
No, just the fact that that's what the RFA I think was built for. It was for these stars to kind of learn in a smaller scale, but at the same time they face UFC caliber fighters.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't know where you're at unless you face these guys. And I'm pretty sure this is more of a learning experience than anything. And the good thing is it's just one loss.
Yeah.
It's not like
And it's a championship loss.
and
against
it's a
UFC
championship
veteran.
loss. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. But you don't know where you're at unless you have these type of fights. So I'm pretty sure this is what the RFA was created. This is what their mindset was, and so
Yeah.
I think overall it was a good card, and I hope RFA keeps it up.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're embracing that too. Like this, you guys come here to go. It's like almost like college basketball, right? Kentucky. Is it Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
You come here for 1 year. We'll win a national championship, and I'll guarantee you'll be like a first round pick for the NBA, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. We'll see. So we're gonna take a little break right now. I want to talk about it's inching closer. Albert, do you hear it? The dragon is rising.
What?
Machida versus Raw Cold this Saturday. So stick around, guys.
Please visit 5roundmma.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. 5roundmma.com.
We are back. Thanks for sticking around. This Saturday, the dragon will rise again, and I like it whenever Machida fights because you ever
Return
notice
of the dragon?
you ever know a
The
change in
dragon left?
No, isn't there always a change in Albert's mood when Machida fights gets closer and closer? He's almost like he's training with them, gets more quiet and more in the zone. So Albert, how excited you see your boy Little Machida versus Luke Rockhold in a critical middleweight bout?
Yeah, I mean that's a good comparison. I think I even started changing the way I eat, the time I go to sleep, the time I wake up. It's almost like I do it like subconsciously. It's not something I plan. But yeah, and I know it's almost fight time because I'm feeling it already. I'm feeling a little bit tense. I feel a little bit drained. I'm
Luke
looking at
Rockhold's coming.
No, was it last week we talked about Machida's Instagram?
Yeah.
He has awesome one like earlier a couple days ago where he's washing the dishes, has a headband on. He's always training. And he's like this, washing dishes. And it's all back away, and then and the other way, back and forth. And he kind of winks at the camera. It's always training.
Machida,
That's not boring.
Machida
boring,
feeds you gold. That's gold to me right
It
there.
sounds like buying off the Karate Kid.
So UFC on Fox, Machida versus Rockhold.
Huge card right here.
Yes, Saturday, April 18th, from Prudential Center in New Jersey.
Yeah, why couldn't it be in Vegas? I'll be in Vegas next weekend.
We're in Jersey and Al Iron Quintus State. You better not be booing Machida or Rockhold. That's what I'm saying. This card's actually pretty stacked. It is a UFC on Fox card.
Unfortunately, the stackness went a little level down due to Yoel Romero.
Yoel Romero being so fearful of the Jacare's bite that he's on my knees hurt, so I gotta back out. So now in place, actually big props to Chris Camozzi for stepping up and listening a week.
Yeah.
But I guess it was true that Jacare already beat Chris Camozzi, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
But I mean, like I'm pretty sure it affects their
Crow
pay.
got his revenge yesterday, so that means why not him?
why not Chris
Why
Camozzi?
not Chris Camozzi?
How big of a hit is this to Jacare?
No, I think that if Jacare wins, he should be the next challenger for the
To over Luke over
Luke
Rockhold or
Rockhold.
Machida?
I think so. I think Jacare had earned it before that, to be honest. Just his
That's a good point,
his type
yeah.
of work that he's done. If you look at Luke Rockhold and Machida, they had losses along this current run that they're in.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think Jacare has had the longer run. So
Obviously, Rockhold lost to the current number contender, Vitor Belfort, and Machida did lose already to
exactly.
Chris
And to me,
Weidman.
Jacare, why are you going to penalize Jacare for Yoel Romero stepping down?
Albert, do you agree with that? Is
I disagree. For some reason, I don't think
He
they
just
can-
cares about Machida.
No, and that's not the thing. I really do think they don't want to get behind Jacare for some
Really?
reason. I really. I mean, even though I think Yoel Romero would have been a good title eliminator fight, I still don't think that was a fight to really push Jacare into that title contention.
So you think they would have given the winner of Rockhold versus Machida? They
I
would've set that up
really
everywhere?
do think so. I think even if Yoel Romero would have stayed in this card and Jacare would have beat Yoel Romero, I think they still would have given it to Luke Rockhold or Machida.
But let
whoever
me
won
give you
that
this
bout.
scenario. Didn't Machida just fight what's his name, Chris Weidman, and get destroyed by Chris Weidman? Do
No, he
people
didn't.
really want to see that?
That's where you're
Th-
wrong.
this is where
Jacare
Jacare makes more sense to me.
Why, yeah, if you're listening to Guillermo, yeah, it doesn't make sense. But if you watch the fight, It makes perfect sense because Machida opened up a can on
The
on
only
Chris
one
Weidman.
is Luke Rockhold who can upset
No.
or change
Well,
this scenario.
In all fairness, after Weidman, Machida did knock out CB Dollaway. So.
And then at the same
Come
time,
on.
we're not. Don't rule out Vitor Belfort. Vitor Belfort wins, Machida's right back in it.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I
But
guess
so. So let's not rule
it
that
really
out.
depends
Yeah.
on a lot of things, but I'm just saying, if Chris Weidman stays champion, you can't justify
I
Machida
could.
fighting him.
It's
so,
called go rewatch the first fight, and that justifies the second.
So,
one.
in all actuality, is this a 3-horse race, a 4-horse race for the middleweight
It
championship?
really was a 4-horse race because Yoel Romero has been on a really good
Yeah.
streak. Now with him
He's
being
out.
hurt, now it's really a three-man horse race.
Yeah.
However you want to
Yeah,
say that.
it's a 3-man
You
race.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
To be the next number one contender. What really is going to throw off who wins the Bellator versus Weidman because it's going to eliminate certain people. And then the other thing is Weidman's talking about fighting John Bone Jones.
Yeah,
What-
so he's already
so
looking-
what's going on?
He's already looking past this whole division already, isn't he?
So it's interesting. It's going to be an interesting card, especially whoever wins out of these two bouts, the main event and co-main event.
Yeah, I remember a couple weeks ago we had a pretty big featherweight bout between Chad Mendes and Ricardo Lamas. Now we have the man kind of lost his shuffle. Now Cub Swanson returns to action against Max Holloway.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
This
I-
actually could be the sleeper, right? This could be the sleeper on the card.
Yes, I love Max Holloway. I love Cub Swanson. They're gonna bring it. I think this is my personal opinion for being a fan. I want Max Holloway to win, and I'll tell you why. Because I think Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor too would be money. The only guy to go the distance is Conor McGregor, and I think
That's true.
Max Holloway has been throwing shots already, saying, "Hey, I'm not scared of you. You're the only person you never talk, trash against is Max Holloway because I took you to the distance." So I've already seen some of the trash talk. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
If you get past Cub
Oh,
Swanson,
yeah,
right?
true.
Yeah.
But I mean,
the thing I see interesting.
that's the fan in me.
The thing I see interesting about this bout is, for once in a while, I think we have two fighters that have everything to gain in this bout
Yes.
and everything to lose.
Yeah.
If Max Holloway loses against Cub Swanson, he goes back into that little weird section that he was before, and
It's like the 6,
But
7,
the
8
thing
spot,
is-
right?
But Max Holloway's so young, and he's
Yeah.
been, he's been
Yeah.
thrown to the
Which-
wolves, which is so good.
Yeah.
But he has a
Yeah.
point. He's gonna go back down to the shuffle.
or that, and he's 23, and this is when I think he has to really excel, and he'll just get back into that limbo, and he probably have to do three more fights back to this just to get back to
Yeah.
where he was at.
23. Wow.
And
yeah.
Cub Swanson for being
at the
so
same
high.
time, if Cub Swanson were to lose, I think that's it.
He's like,
Well,
I mean,
I
I'm
don't
not saying
think- I
I'm
don't
not,
think
no,
it's it,
I'm not saying
but
his career.
it's-
I'm not saying
he's
his
kind of
career is
stuck in that
over.
number 5,
I
number
think
6
he's gonna
spot,
be
right?
stuck in that, in
5,
that
6 spot.
6-5 spot, and I don't see
It's a
him breaking
big
any higher
ladder
than
to
that.
climb.
Yeah, it's just too. It would be too much of a big ladder for him to reclimb again. That, and I'm not saying that he can't. I'm saying I don't think UFC would really.
No, I think it would
feed
just take him
that
like
way.
a year to 2 years to get back to
That's
the
a
level
long
where
time.
he
and that's
was.
a long time.
And you
That's
got
what I'm
guys
saying.
like
I
what
totally
Frank
agree.
Yeager, Uriah Faber's back. You got Ricardo Lamas,
When
Chad
Frank
Mendes.
Yeager beat him.
Yeah, and you got what Jose
That's what
Aldo
I'm saying.
maybe might return. Not
That's why it's very interesting. I think both fighters got a lot to gain and a lot to lose.
interesting.
I love that
interesting
matchup.
bout. Also, let's switch down to the prelims. Your boy. Is it your boy Patrick Cummins or your boy Patrick Cummins?
I think we
Whoa.
all became a little big
Yeah.
fans of Patrick
The only
Cummins.
reason I always cheer for Patrick Cummins because he always makes Daniel Cormier look that much better.
Yeah, it does.
True.
Because I go back to that matchup, and everybody was saying, "Oh, why is he gonna fight this washed up fight or whatever?" When
This
I was
guy's
like-
never had no experience. in
yeah,
the
and,
octagon.
with every win Patrick Cummins
Wasn't he a
gets,
Starbucks?
the better looks
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier. And for once, Patrick Cummins is gonna get I think
A
his
pretty legit-
hardest
yeah.
test yet
Since Daniel Cormier, right?
since Daniel Cormier. Yeah,
Against
but come on,
Aldous.
let's
Yeah, you
keep it
throw him to
real.
the
We
number
didn't-
one
yeah.
contender. Your
He-
first fight
he didn't
ever.
have a full camp,
in MMA.
whatever. So the odds were really against him this time. There's no excuses, and it's time to pretty much show up while you're in the UFC.
He's going up against
I-
Ovid St. Pierre. Who
Yeah, I think
last-
Patrick Cummins, for me, it feels like more of a Rocky story. This guy that came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and he's rising up slowly, and he's now fighting potential guys for hopefully getting the title shot soon. And where did this come from? So to me, it feels like the true underdog story.
True, yeah, and obviously this is like you said, the first kind of like almost like a natural progression, right? Like
Yeah.
your first fight at the UFC isn't going to be against Daniel Cormier like naturally, right? Unless you're coming,
Exactly.
unless you're a champion from else. Now he's kind of like going up there. Now he's Alvin St. Pierre, who just knocked out Shogun,
Shogun, yeah.
who did lose to Ryan Bader, who was kind of always in the title mix.
Right, Ryan Bader has
Title
always been
contention
in the
guy.
mix.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a big step up
I
for
think
Ryan.
Winner out of here cracks the top 10 easily.
Yeah.
And they pretty much got the typical top 10 opponents next after this. You know, you're gonna get the Ryan Baders.
I think this
again,
card
and
should
everybody
be-
else, Rashad Evans.
This card shows a lot of fights where a lot of these fighters have something to gain, and usually other cards we're kind of debating.
Yeah.
This one, every fight honestly has something to gain for each fighter.
Another fight on the prelim card, Jim Miller's back. And he's this guy who's like almost how close was he
He's
to a
always
title
just
shot?
2
How
steps
close was
away,
he?
yeah.
Almost to a title shot.
Yeah.
Going up against Benel Darush, who was last seen beating Darren Cruikshank. So one of those things too, a guy who's 10-1. If he could beat this veteran guy, Jim Miller, who's tough as nails, who's this close to title shot, hence the sky's the limit for Benel, and again Jim Miller back to the drawing board, right?
I think that's what Jim Miller is known for. If he can defeat Jim Miller, you got a title shot.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
Hey,
that's
but
what the
it's
formula,
not
right?
that-
then
True.
Jim Miller, this is a good way to get back on the horse. So-
Yep. Also, one of the cards to round out the main card was women's strawweight between Fleeks Herring, the super popular fighter from the Tough. She's super popular on Instagram. You guys follow Instagram. She's like 100,000 followers or even more than that. Against, I think maybe the UFC probably won't say it, but I think it's the kind of girl they want to rule the strawweight division in Paige Van Sant, right?
Mm-hmm. When I see Paige Van Sant, I see probably if you were to draw up, this is how I want my champion to look like as far as this weight class, whatever. I think she fits the mold.
So you got the outside appeal of like
yeah,
kind of round aroused Gina Carano.
It's true.
It sounds like you guys are just trying to tiptoe with saying
That she's hot. She's hot.
She's easy on the eyes.
Easy on the eyes. But she's only 21 too, so and she only has a record of I think it's 4-1. So and then Fleece Herring is a veteran of the sport, so very good for her. She'll see exciting fight all around April 18th, UFC on Fox. It's always. At least now these UFC on Fox cards are getting like are always pretty consistently well stacked, right?
No, some of them are over there in pay-per-view quality. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
To be
You
honest,
guys are
this card,
suckers for
this
giving
card
this
should
for
be a
free.
pay-per-view.
Yeah, it should be pay-per-view.
And the pay-per-view should have been on UFC on Fox.
The
But then
the
we
Mighty Mouse
complain
one.
about Mighty Mouse being on Fox again.
Exactly, that's true.
There we go. It's a never lose. UFC just never loses. Just never wins in this house. Huh?
No.
This space, UFC's never the winner. That's it for today. I want to thank all of our sponsors. First of all, 5 Rounds Clothing. Check out a nice shirt. So follow them on Twitter at 5 Rounds. Rock and Green eco-friendly cleaning products, and of course the RMA Foundation, the movement to stop bullying and raise the awareness to how to prevent bullying, all that stuff. It's a epidemic that's still constantly it grows all the time, and the RMA Foundation is definitely trying its best to raise awareness of it. So please visit them at redemptionmartialarts.com to see what you can do to help the cause. Until then, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 5 Round MMA. Subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic. Please check out 5roundmma.com, spectrumvita.com, sports, entertainment, lifestyle, EDM website apparently now. I think that's it. So thank everybody for listening. Albert, what do you got?
I just want to thank our executive producer, Guillermo Cita, our sound engineer over there, Steven Roslo with Roslo Records. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. If you have the Dirty Network, check out that Macho Man documentary. It's awesome.
Genius.
Oh yeah, the cream of the crop.
To get grimy.